Welcome back to Cash Flow Confidence Live, where finance pros learn fearless cash flow and fearless profitability advisory work. I'm David Safir, and I'm here to help you close the clarity gap that often happens between cash flow and GAAP accounting. And I'm here to help you grow your advisory impact. Let's dive in. Last night, my sister asked me, "Why are you webcasting on Christmas Day? Nobody's listening." And my automatic response, of course, people are listening. There are people all over the globe who don't celebrate Christmas, and they have the same cash flow problems as the people who do celebrate. You see, this is something I've learned working with companies in 40 companies in person. I haven't kept track of how many companies I've worked with virtually or countries I've worked with virtually. And I've worked from Fortune 100 boardrooms in New York to small family businesses in Latin America, and from startups in Asia to established firms in Europe. Cash flow is the most democratic language and democratic challenge in business. It doesn't care about your religion, your race, your gender, your nationality, the language you speak, what time you wake up in the morning, what time you go to bed at night. Cash flow is a universal problem. And it's a universal problem that puts companies out of business, which means it's also a universal opportunity to provide advisory services. That's why I'm here today. That's what we're going to be talking about. The human behaviors that cause and drive cash flow problems and the frameworks that fix them transcend all country boundaries. Let's dig in. What I've learned when working with businesses from about 500,000, it's smaller outside the United States, maybe it's $250,000, up to about $20 million across every continent. I haven't worked in Antarctica yet. I'm working on that. But the cash flow problems are identical. A manufacturing company in Sao Paulo can't meet payroll because customers stretched out without asking permission. They're payable from 30 days to 60 days. Or a professional services firm in Singapore. They're profitable on paper. The accounting reports look great, but it has no cash because last month's invoice is now overdue. They're at 45 days and they won't get paid for a while still. Or a distributor in Denver that has inventory that's moving really well. The stuff that's moving today is moving really quickly, but they've got a ton of cash tied up in products that are old and they're just sitting on shelves. One of the things love about live is you get interrupted by your cell phone. Sorry about that. So different languages, different cultures, different countries, same cash reality. And here's what matters for your advisory practice. Your clients are experiencing the exact same patterns. Whether they're running a construction company in Texas, a consulting firm in Toronto, or anywhere else on the globe, the human factors behind their cash flow problems don't change. They're not tracking cash separately from accounting. They're confusing profit with cash, and profit is a construct developed for accounting purposes for large companies. It's not cash. And they're making decisions based on last month's or last quarter's or last year's reports instead of projecting next month's reality or next quarter's reality. They are reacting to a crisis instead of forecasting and planning ahead for what is coming. This is why focus on cash, not accounting, works everywhere. It's third grade arithmetic to when money comes in and when money goes out. And it makes sense in every language, in every culture. What is the opportunity for an advisor, whether you're experienced or you are just starting out doing advisory work, whether you're a bookkeeper or a CPA or a specialist in a particular part of business? This is what the opportunity is. When you master cash flow advisory, you're learning skills and a framework that works anywhere with anyone, with any company. I have taught the same, it's called the Cash is Clear process, to a chartered accountant in Edmonton, Canada, a CPA in Houston in the United States, a bookkeeper in Lima, Peru, an accounts receivable manager in Saudi Arabia. And that's an interesting story because the way I taught it was through podcasts like this. We had a great conversation after he had implemented the changes. And an inventory specialist in Costa Rica is another person I've talked to. I could keep going and going and going. The framework does not change. You start with mindset, then you model cash flow. You learn how to simply manage the cash flow in and out. A mentor, you need to teach this to people. You need to learn to become a mentor to the business owners and their clients, and their employees. And then finally, and this is the fun part, you get to maximize cash flow using even more strategies than you did for managing it, and it doesn't change. Mindset, model, manage, mentor, maximize. Why doesn't it change? Because behaviors don't change. Math doesn't change. Every business needs to know, how much cash do I have today, which is pretty simple for most businesses. More importantly, how much cash will I have over the next 13 weeks each week? And then what decisions do we need to make now to ensure that we have the cash we need over the next 13 weeks? And if needed, change the trajectory of the cash flow from negative to positive. You stop being surprised. So you stop living in emergencies, you start being proactive, and then you don't have to waste time being reactive. This simple framework is how and why you can change the charge $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, even more for larger companies, depending on, per month. This is per month figures. I've done full-time engagements for up to $20,000, $30,000 for the month. It's unusual. Focusing in on helping multiple clients, $1,000 to $3,000 a month, is feasible, and it's being done all over the globe. You're now not just selling accounting services or bookkeeping services that can vary by jurisdiction. Even within a country, different provinces, different states, you have to learn different rules. No, these are universally accepted because they're not governed except for by natural law, is the way cash flow is governed. So you get to learn it once and apply it everywhere. So let me bring this home, wrap up with some practical opportunities and practical ideas. The clarity gap, the space between accounting complexity and simple cash truth, it exists everywhere. And this is what I've learned. Number one, the solution is always the same. Translate the complexity into cash reality. When a business owner says, I don't understand my financials, they're not asking for more sophisticated accounting. They're not asking for more numbers. They're not asking to learn accounting. What they're asking is more practical information like, Do I have enough cash to make an investment or to make payroll? Can I take out a client to dinner? Well, dinner's easy, but hey, they might not have enough cash to take them to dinner. Should I buy a piece of equipment, or how do I afford a piece of equipment? Does the revenue that the equipment generates, and when I'm talking revenue, I should have said cash, does the cash the equipment generate pay for the payment on that piece of equipment? More than pay for, because if it doesn't more than pay for it, then unless it's a short period of time, but that's a different day. So that's the types of questions these business owners want to get answered. And you can do that by modeling cash and showing changes. Your job as an advisor isn't to help them understand GAAP accounting. It's to give them cash clarity in plain language that they can act on. So here's your action step. The next time you have a client and you get an idea that they are having challenges, having enough cash, ask them, let's look at the next 13 weeks. Would you like to do that? Let's see when your cash is coming in. And then let's do the same exercises. When is your cash going out? And what is the gap? Where are the shortfalls? And what do we need to do to make changes? What do we need to do today, next week, etc., to close any gaps? Because cash flow doesn't discriminate. It also means you shouldn't discriminate and be willing to help any client, regardless of if you're scared or not. The reason we're here is to give you confidence. But please don't discriminate based on your fear. You can do it. That's why you're here. That's why you're listening to this. You can go out there and work with clients. So, speaking of solutions and becoming more confident, I want to shout out to our sponsor, Pivot. It's the 4-day cash flow boot camp. And we are going to be teaching 16 weeks of 1-hour masterminds. We're condensing it into 4 days that will transform how you look at and how you feel about cash flow. Go from cash flow nervousness to complete confidence in 4 days. Now, you're doing the math already because you're an accountant. 16 hours, 4 days, that's only 4 hours a day. That's right. It's half a day to learn new materials, half a day to absorb the materials, get tutored one-on-one, and figure out how to incorporate this into your practice. So when you leave, you've got a clear path forward to how you can help your clients. You can learn more at pivot2026.com. That's PIVOT2026.com. Let's wrap this up, bring it home. Thank you for turning into Cashflow Confidence Live. I hope today's episode reminded you that cash flow challenges are universal. And not only are they universal around the globe, but they're probably universal with every single one of your clients. And if your client isn't having challenges today, they will. Just wait a little while. And the solutions are universal as well. If you haven't already, please subscribe. If you're on YouTube, hit subscribe. It really will help me reach more people, which is my goal, is to fix cash flow problems around the world. And you can help a little bit by subscribing or join my email list to learn even more. And I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment, send me an email. You can find me. I'm really easy to find. David Safir at david@davidsafir.com. Your experience matters. What you are learning and what your challenges are will directly impact how I can help other people, and you can contribute to this global cash flow solution and get people out of crisis. If you want additional resources, go to the website. We've got proven frameworks there. Read the articles I mentioned an accounts receivable specialist in Saudi Arabia, significantly improved his receivables just by reading my articles. They're there for you, and I'm here for you. Until next time, keep building your confidence and delivering fearless cash flow advisory. Remember, cash flow is universal, and so is your ability to master it. I'm David Safir, and this has been Cash Flow Confidence Live.